For decades, Canada watched the world speed ahead, literally. France had the TGV, Japan had the Shinkansen, and even the US, with all its transit problems, managed to roll out the Acela. Meanwhile, Canada, the second largest country on Earth, sat on the sidelines. No bullet trains, no high-speed networks, just long drives, slow trains, and a growing sense of why not us. But now, something's different. A new train has entered the conversation. And it's not just any train. It's called Alto. Backed by over $100 billion in 7 major cities, it promises to do more than just move people faster. It could finally rewrite how Canadians live, work, and connect. And the story behind it, it's bigger, bolder, and more unexpected than most realize. It all came out of nowhere. France 24 reported that on February 19, 2025, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau stepped up to a podium just weeks after announcing his resignation and dropped a national bombshell. Canada was officially launching its first ever high-speed rail line. His words were short, almost understated, but the project he described? Massive. The plan? A bullet train line called Alto that would stretch from Quebec City to Toronto, cutting through Canada's busiest and most industrialized region, the Quebec City-Windsor corridor. This corridor holds almost half the country's population. That's over 18 million people, with the train directly linking cities home to 13 million of them. Right now, that same journey takes a painful 9 hours by train or nearly 8 by car. With Alto, that's dropping to just 3 hours. At top speeds of 300 kilometers per hour, this isn't just a train upgrade, it's a time machine. But here's where it gets wild. Before a single track is laid, the design and planning phase alone is already costing Canada $3.9 billion, and the full build expected to land somewhere between 80 and 120 billion Canadian dollars, easily making it the largest infrastructure project in Canadian history. 7 cities will get a front row seat to this transformation: Quebec City, Trois-Rivières, Laval, Montreal, Ottawa, Peterborough, and Toronto. And with 4 of the 6 journey legs set to outpace even air travel, Canadians may finally be looking at a new era of movement: fast, electric, and built to last. Of course, dreams this big don't come without drama. We'll get into that. But first, let's talk impact. Enjoying the breakdown so far? Hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into massive global projects like this one. Got questions about Alto? Drop them in the comments. We read every one. Alto isn't just about speed, it's about shrinking distances, and with that, rethinking daily life for millions. For the first time in Canada's history, living in one city and working in another might actually be practical. Imagine starting your morning in Montreal and showing up to a noon meeting in Toronto without touching an airport. That's what this project promises: mobility as freedom. The train will offer a clean electric ride from start to finish. Every inch of the corridor will be powered by electricity, not diesel, meaning this isn't just fast, it's green. No sharing tracks with freight trains either. Alto's passenger lines will run separately, which means fewer delays and better reliability, 2 things Canadian rail is not known for right now. Economic impact also huge. A study by the C.D. Howe Institute projected the line could generate between 15 and 27 billion Canadian dollars in long-term value. That's not counting tourism booms, job growth in connected cities, or the new businesses that might pop up along the way. Some experts even predict this could be the push Canada needs to rebalance growth between its major cities and smaller urban centers. Even real estate could shift. Cities like Peterborough and Trois-Rivières, once considered too far, might suddenly look like prime commuter hubs. A fast train changes how people choose homes, jobs, even where they go to school. And then there's the environmental side. With road congestion rising and aviation emissions growing, Alto's electric rail line offers a rare double win: cutting commute times and carbon emissions at once. For a country trying to meet climate goals, that's a critical piece of the puzzle. In short, this train isn't just moving people, it's moving the country. Socially, economically, environmentally, all at once. The truth is, this isn't Canada's first dance with high-speed rail. It's just the first time the music actually started. For decades, proposals came and went, some serious, some just election promises. Meanwhile, countries around the world built networks so fast and efficient, they started replacing short-haul flights. Canada still stuck in traffic. So what made 2025 different? One answer: timing. Public pressure for green infrastructure is at an all-time high. The climate crisis is no longer abstract, it's personal. Wildfires, floods, and extreme weather have forced even skeptics to pay attention. And rail, especially fast, electrified rail, is one of the few transport solutions that checks every box. Fast, clean, scalable, and long-term. Another big shift came in federal funding. Canada has always lagged behind its G7 peers in rail spending by a long shot, but this time the government came in heavy, with $3.9 billion locked in just for the design phase and a project estimate pushing $100 billion overall. This is easily the boldest rail investment in Canadian history. There's also the influence of international momentum. Countries like Japan, China, France, Germany, and the UK have all shown the public and political benefits of high-speed rail. Even the United States, often criticized for poor public transit, launched its Acela Express between Washington and Boston, hitting 150 miles per hour and carrying millions annually. Canada was becoming the odd one out, the only G7 country without high-speed rail. That kind of national embarrassment is a powerful motivator, especially when you're trying to shape a legacy. So, in the final stretch of his time in office, Justin Trudeau dropped the mic. He didn't just propose Alto, he backed it with real money, a real timeline, and a newly formed crown corporation tasked with making it real. Here's where the excitement turns into sharp debate: the cost. At up to 120 billion Canadian dollars, Alto is more than just Canada's most expensive train, it's the largest infrastructure project the country has ever attempted, period. Before a single rail gets laid, billions are already gone. The $3.9 billion committed for just planning and design shocked many. But that number isn't even the scary part. The full budget, still a range, sits somewhere between 80 to 120 billion. That's 2 to 3 times more than the cost of the Trans Mountain Pipeline, which itself was Canada's previous record holder at $34 billion. And it was already controversial. So where's all that money going? A large chunk will cover the construction of brand new, fully electrified rail lines, separated from freight. That alone is a game changer, since Canada's current railways often share tracks between cargo and passengers, causing countless delays. Add to that the cost of 7 major station upgrades, high-speed trains, overhead electric systems, land acquisition, environmental studies, and labor, and suddenly you start seeing where the billions go. But still, this is a number that rattles even optimistic taxpayers. People wonder, can Canada really pull this off? Will political will survive leadership changes? Will costs balloon like they did with the Trans Mountain Pipeline? Or worse, will the whole thing stall halfway through? Those questions aren't unfounded. Big projects have gone off the rails before, but there's also a case to be made that if you want real transformation, you can't do it with small budgets. You need bold moves. And for once, the government isn't going at it alone. Alto is backed by an international consortium called Cadence, which brings together seasoned players from Canada and Europe with experience building and operating rail systems around the world. Still, ambition always comes at a price. Whether this one pays off is the real test. Before Alto, there were plenty of promises, and almost all of them led nowhere. Canada has been chasing high-speed rail since the 1960s, but the story always seems to end the same way. Excitement, studies, press releases, then silence. One of the earliest attempts was the turbo train, a futuristic-looking machine introduced in 1968. Built by the United Aircraft Corporation, it looked like a leap forward. It even hit 170 miles per hour during testing in the US. But in Canada, it struggled. On Canadian tracks, it maxed out at 140 miles per hour and rarely hit that in real service. It shared tracks with freight, leading to constant slowdowns, and passengers complained about the rough ride. It was pulled from service in 1982 after just 14 years, and things didn't improve much after that. Over the next 4 decades, multiple studies were launched. Politicians floated bold ideas, engineers pitched sleek designs, but time after time, nothing came of it. One more recent project, Prairie Link, proposed between Calgary and Edmonton, offered hope. Announced in 2021 as a privately funded bullet train, it boasted a top speed of 250 miles per hour and a budget of $9 billion. But the Alberta government refused to invest public funds, and the project remains in development limbo. For Canadians, this string of disappointments created deep skepticism. People began to assume high-speed rail was just a nice fantasy, something other countries got to enjoy. That makes Alto different. It's not just another maybe. It's been formally announced by the federal government, backed with real money, and led by a national crown corporation. That kind of official momentum is something Canada's never had before in this space. Still, past failures linger like ghosts, making trust in Alto a work in progress. It's easy to roll your eyes at another big Canadian infrastructure promise, until you look at what makes this one different. Alto isn't just a proposal, it's a federally backed project with clear targets, real investment, and international support. That's a combination Canada's never seen before in the high-speed rail space. One major shift is the creation of a crown corporation to oversee it. That means the project isn't being handed off to a private company or left in the hands of provincial politics. It's a federally governed body with the legal mandate to build and operate Alto. That alone brings a layer of accountability and structure that past rail projects lacked. Then there's Cadence, an international consortium with experience building rail networks in both Canada and Europe. This isn't a one-company show. It's a team effort bringing in global expertise, and that reduces the learning curve. These are companies that have built systems that already work. Add to that the fact that this isn't just being floated in theory. Planning is already funded. Timelines are being set, station sites are being scoped, trains are being modeled. But perhaps the biggest reason this project might actually cross the finish line? The public wants it. Canadians have grown tired of endless highway congestion, expensive short-haul flights, and underwhelming rail service. There's momentum now, social, political, and economic. The timing also works. With Trudeau stepping down, this project becomes a legacy item. There's pressure on whoever comes next to continue what's already in motion. Canceling a $100 billion project that's already underway would be politically risky. For the first time, all the pieces seem to be on the board. That doesn't guarantee success, but it makes it far more likely than ever before. So, what will Alto physically be? Right now, the plan outlines a sleek 1,000-kilometer corridor running from Quebec City to Toronto, with stops in Trois-Rivières, Laval, Montreal, Ottawa, and Peterborough. These aren't random choices. They're carefully mapped to link Canada's most densely populated and economically active corridor. The trains are designed to hit top speeds of 300 kilometers an hour, which is nearly double what Canada's fastest train can manage today. At that speed, Alto will turn a 9-hour ride into a 3-hour trip. But speed isn't the only focus. Efficiency, comfort, and reliability are all part of the plan. One crucial design detail: Alto's tracks won't be shared with freight. That's a big deal. Sharing tracks, as past projects have, causes delays, forces slower speeds, and increases maintenance issues. By building dedicated passenger rail lines, Alto avoids those traps. That alone could be the difference between a modern, punctual system and a frustrating one. The stations themselves are still being finalized, but major cities like Toronto and Montreal will likely upgrade existing hubs. Toronto's Union Station, for example, is already undergoing a massive renovation and is expected to serve as Alto's key southern anchor. And it's not just about moving people. Alto's design includes full electrification, which means zero emissions from the trains themselves. That turns the entire line into a long-term environmental asset, not just a transport one. By combining fast speeds, clean energy, and smarter city connections, Alto isn't just upgrading Canadian rail. It's reimagining how cities interact, how people move, and how the country connects from coast to corridor. When you build a line this big, you don't just move people, you move markets, mindsets, and momentum. Alto's influence could ripple far beyond train stations and ticket sales. It could change how Canada sees itself, and how the world sees Canada. Start with economics. Alto has the potential to stitch together major cities into a single high-functioning network. That means workers in Ottawa could take jobs in Montreal. Businesses in Quebec City could expand services into Toronto without facing cross-province logistical nightmares. Faster movement equals tighter economic bonds. That's how regions thrive. Then there's regional equity. Smaller cities like Peterborough and Trois-Rivières, often overshadowed by major metros, get pulled into the fast lane. New investment could follow. More housing, more jobs, more students commuting to major universities. It flattens the playing field. And culturally, this could spark a shift. Canadians are used to thinking of their country as spread out, slow to connect. Alto pushes against that, bringing cities closer and cutting long drives into day trips. It may even influence national unity. A connected corridor reduces the sense of isolation between regions. It builds familiarity, interaction, and perhaps even a stronger shared identity. If the trains run on time and the system delivers, Alto could go beyond being a successful transport project. It could become a symbol of modern Canada finally catching up to global standards and setting new ones of its own. But for now, one question remains. With all its promise, Alto isn't a sure thing. The truth is, no construction has started yet. There are blueprints and budgets, but no trains, no stations, no concrete poured. And in Canada, that's where big ideas often stall. First, the cost. Estimates have already jumped from initial numbers. Inflation, labor shortages, and supply chain issues could push that $100 billion price tag even higher. And when that happens, political support can vanish fast. Then there's leadership. Trudeau backed this project, but he's stepping down. Future administrations might shift priorities. Alto could be paused, delayed, or even quietly dropped, especially if budgets tighten or new crises take center stage. Public patience is another risk. Canadians have waited decades for high-speed rail. If delays stack up or early progress feels invisible, support could fade. Skepticism could return. People might ask, is this really happening, or is it just another headline? And finally, there's execution. A project of this scale demands coordination across federal, provincial, and municipal levels. Any misalignment could slow the rollout or complicate approvals. Big builds also attract scrutiny. Environmental groups, property owners, and community planners will all weigh in, and not everyone will agree. So while the momentum is real, the risks are too. Alto is a gamble, just like any major leap forward. But the difference this time? Canada seems willing to take that gamble, and maybe, just maybe, see it through. And maybe for the first time, Canada is ready to bet on itself and follow through. I'm really grateful for your time and attention. I spend hours curating the best information possible for you and try to deliver it in a way that's both useful and entertaining. If you found value here, consider buying me a coffee, so I can caffeine up and keep bringing you more videos like this. And if you're curious what other countries are building next, don't miss our deep dive into Singapore's $100 billion artificial islands. See you there.